to another episode of our career webinars. My name is Mirta Aguirre. I'm the head of employability at Virtual Internships. And this is a career readiness essential series, meaning that we are going to explore content that is useful for any career and is super useful for your career development, right? So you get the skills, the competencies that you need to succeed at your professional development. Being career ready means precisely that you have all that skills, competencies, and knowledge that will allow you to succeed at your career. So today we're going to explore how to manage your job search journey, right? We're going to explore a little bit what is this craziness about start looking for a job, and the speaker is going to be me. Here we are going to understand the key stages of the job process, how to navigate each stage, and hopefully you will leave with a clear strategy for your job search. And if you don't know me already, I'm a career coach and educator from Argentina. I help people build a career they love. I am very curious. I love languages. I love traveling. I love connecting people. And I enjoy sharing everything I've learned with other people so they can really expand and keep on learning, right? And without further ado, let's go into this, the topic for today, right? I want this to be interactive, right? So let's use the chat and let's share a little bit. I would like to know when you need to start looking for a job. What emotions do you have? What emotions arises? What is it like? How do you feel when you say, okay, I need to start looking for a job? How is it? What does it happen in you? Stressful. Yes, I can relate to that. What else? How do you feel when you need to start looking for a job? Someone in the Q&A.
Nowadays, since there's a lot of, distractions, we are seeing a lot of, issues like Microsoft recently, laid off or going to lay off 4,800, employees. And seeing that, it makes the situation a bit, I would say bumpy for other, candidates, like people who are students, especially with coming with, academic, backgrounds. It makes a bit, I would not say that AI has brought a lot of chaotic, directions, but at the same time, it is giving a bit of, doubt and stress, like Marwa said, for people that they are trying to, find job, and the motivation is there, unless, you have to put efforts into the same. And, going to different sites, and as well as, exploring different opportunities, trying to understand what the companies are aiming to do. When you see most of the companies, the senior leaderships and the management, they are trying to, cut the jobs due to, the budget is not there. And most of the time when you hear from them that, well, AI is going to create a lot of jobs. There is a lot of jobs. Perhaps I should there are a lot of opportunities that we can explore. It is not that, but it is just giving us, since, the revolution of AI, it has brought a lot of chaos in the, workforce market, I would say. Not just in Europe, but around the world.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you mentioned many things, right? At this point, we're living, yes, in a crazy world. Technology, AI is disrupting what's happening, that's for sure. And you mentioned also something very important, right? When we start our job search, we need to start looking for different websites to really do many things that sometimes we don't know how to do it. So I'm reading also in the chat, right, that people feel anxiety, overwhelmed, stressed, and many of these anxiety comes from the fact that also start looking for a job feels like a job by itself, right? We need to sit down, we need to start making a lot of effort, how you said it. So it's really understanding that we need to have a strategy to start looking for a job. The job search itself is almost a job. So the goal of this webinar is to understand the different stages we need to walk when we are deciding to embark ourselves in this adventure of finding a new job, understanding what steps we need to take. And what I'm going to share today is different key stages and steps. Let's understand that this is very fluid. I created a sort of a schema for you to have a little bit of clarity. This will adapt to each of you, but the idea is that you feel more confident in saying, okay, of course there are things I cannot control what happens out there, but I can control how I'm doing my search, right? So today we're going to explore these different stages and to have some clarity on what we need to do in each one of those. And for this, once again, this is like just a path, right? You will alter this to adapt it to how you feel more comfortable. But overall, when we start looking for a job, we need to sit down and really start creating a strategy, right? Because the overwhelming feelings, this anxiety comes also because it's like too much, right? Where do I start? How do I need to approach this? So we're going to see today how we can start organizing this. So the first thing we need to think is like when we are going to start for looking for a job, the first thing I need to understand is like my goals, right? We can understand job searching as a project. Every time we start a new project, we need to understand what I want to achieve, right? I need to have some clear goals. So I need to understand what is it that I'm looking for. This can be, we can call this like the first stage. Then we're going to see each one a little bit more in detail so you know. One thing that is going to be always super important throughout any moment of my career is going to be networking. So you see in my image, I put networking as a road that is constantly being walked, right? So we need to understand where we are assuming that we are already doing this networking, but we may also think that we need to really take a moment through our job search to understand what's happening, especially with our LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is the tool that most professionals have, and that's where we want to be. And this is also a very important tool in our job search. So we're going to dedicate maybe the second phase. Remember, this is just like we organize them in a logic sense, but for you, this may change. We want to use LinkedIn, understand what's going on, and make LinkedIn a super tool that is helping and working towards our goals, right? That means that we're going to use LinkedIn to, why not say that we're looking for a job, to update our profile and to start connecting with those people who may have some hints. And for that, once that we already have some idea, we need to, of course, start looking for these jobs, right? We can use LinkedIn to find these jobs, or we can also identify different job boards to say, okay, where am I going to find these jobs? And once, of course, we find a job we like, we will need to update our CV, because we know that every time we apply for a new role, we need to do the whole adaptation so our profile really matches the job we're looking for and we're concretely applying. And then after applying for the job, hopefully we're going to be called back for an interview. If not, then we need to keep on trying. That's a process. And then we're going to an interview. And hopefully you will receive an offer. So we have this all path that it is good to start understanding all these stages, right? And let's dive deep into the first one. So I mentioned, right? Your network is one of the most important assets you have. And actually, most of the jobs that are out there are not being shown, right? This is what we call the hidden job market. This means that companies are not openly advertising their openings, but they are relying on their networks and connections to fill these jobs. That means probably that the person that works at a company or people in your network, they know their company is hiring, but this job is not advertised out there. So for that, it is very important to have our LinkedIn profile, as I mentioned, updated and working in our favor. This means, right, one key thing we need to do is to connect with those people who are in the industry we want to be and who are already doing the job we would like to have. And for this, you don't need to underestimate the power of being updated on what's happening in your industry. What does this mean? You don't need to necessarily go to all congresses or webinars that are out there, because we know there are so many things that are happening that we cannot follow up on everything, right? But one thing that I do that is super useful is if you see a nice event on your area, let's say you're into marketing and you see, or even online, right? You see that there's a nice webinar or a web summit happening, but even you cannot go because you cannot attend for whatever reason. Go inside of this lineup of speakers and add these people to your network, right? Because once you start following people who are in your industry, who share interesting content, then you can start creating an algorithm that is going to show you what's going on in your industry. And this is super important because you want to be reading and seeing the things that happen. And of course, people are going to advertise jobs, right? And this is the moment where you need to be sharing and connecting. And also, don't underestimate the power of commenting on other people's posts. Same, if you follow some speaker from this event, then they share content and you can, comment on whatever, maybe they share an article and you can comment on there and you can engage with even the same people who are commenting on this article. And then you make yourself visible, right? So this is very important. So you want to ensure that you are using LinkedIn properly, and you want to ensure that in-person networks and people you know are active, right? So networking is something you want to do throughout your career, but when you start looking for a job, you want to activate your network, right? In order for you to activate this network, that means that you already need to have one, right? And if you don't have one, then this is a moment for you to start. So this is the basic essential that you always want to have there. As I mentioned, step one is going to understand, okay, what is it that I want to look for, right? And we need to be very precise because a job search is going to be successful as long as I know what is it that I'm looking for, right? Because if I have all different options, then I'm going to be lost. I need to understand what is it that I want to find, right? What kind of roles am I looking for? Which industry? For this, we need to do some let's say soul search. It doesn't matter on what stage of your career you are. Even if you have 1 year of experience or 10 years of experience, you always need to be super, super sharp in understanding what your strengths are, what your skills are, right? Because this is what you're going to showcase. This is going to be your value, right? And remember, when we're looking for a job, we are adding value to an organization. So we need to understand who we are, what we have to offer, so then we can start understanding also, okay, when I'm looking for a job, what are the things that I definitely want? Do I want to work online 100%? Do I want to work hybrid? Do I want to work in person? Because it's no use to find a job in person when you already know that you need to work from home, right? So first of all is to understand what kind of roles you're looking for. And at this stage, of course, we can use your preferred AI to do this soul searching to understand what kind of roles. If you already have clarity, perfect. If not, you can always go back a little bit into your experience, your university degree, and understand, okay, with my skills, with my personal strength, what kind of roles, what industries would fit me, right? So this is the first stage, and don't be afraid to use AI to have some clarity on this, right? And then you want to, once you have a clarity on what your goals are and what kind of roles you want to look for, I really suggest that you create a plan, right? Where you organize your time, your workspace, where you said, okay, I'm going to dedicate this amount of time a week, and you really start feeling it that this is a serious commitment for yourself, because it needs to be, right? Otherwise, it's going to be very challenging. So once I have my roles, I know, right? And remember, for you to find roles, if you are quite lost, you can always go into LinkedIn and explore the jobs offers there are, and then understand the different vocabulary, right? Sometimes we are not used to what's happening, and we are not sure, okay, what is a product manager? What is a project manager? What is a program manager? If I know if I have this knowledge and I have these skills, what kind of roles this could be. So remember, use AI also to have clarity on this. Now we need to make sure that we take advantage of what AI can do in a good sense for us. We can discuss, of course, what AI is doing and how this is going to be good or not for humanity. That's a super philosophical, passionate discussion. But concretely, we need to use the tools that can benefit us. So at this stage, using AI can be really, really useful. So once we already have clarity on what we're looking for, and once we defined a timetable and how we're going to approach this job search, this is where we need to go concretely to improve our LinkedIn profile. Right? We assumed before that we have our network, that we have our contacts and people we know. Now we want to really, really define what we are going to show in LinkedIn. Remember, LinkedIn is your professional, not only a place to connect with other people, of course, and to look for jobs, but especially it's the way where you're going to showcase who you are. In our CV, this is very, it's going to be more targeted to each role. On LinkedIn, we're going to create a narrative, we're going to share a narrative, a professional narrative that people and other professionals will look at. So it is really important to have our LinkedIn profile updated, right, to show it professionally. And some keys to show this, to show that you are active on LinkedIn and creating your network, is one simple piece of advice is to have a clean profile URL. I'm sending my LinkedIn profile. Take advantage to contact me and add me to your network. Remember, one piece of advice, always send a LinkedIn invitation with a message saying where you know the person from. And if you haven't met already, say, for instance, I follow your articles on XYZ industry. I find your content very interesting. So it'd be a pleasure to be part of your network. I'm interested in marketing, or I work in marketing. So it's nice to be in contact with you. Something short. In my case, if you add me to your network, send me a message saying you participated in my webinar, hopefully send something you learned with me in this webinar. If you see my LinkedIn profile, which is in the chat, when you click on it, you will see the clear LinkedIn URL means this you have written there. It means you have linkedin.com/in/ and then your name and last name. Don't leave this generic link that LinkedIn will give you that has some numbers and combination and is very long. This doesn't look professional. So that's one small, this is like, your attire. This is like having your nails clean, and like your URL, clean URL shows, okay, they took time to have this nice. So that's a nice step. Of course, you want to have a professional picture, right? A background. This is very essential. If you don't have this, many people may say, I'm not sure this person is actually using LinkedIn, or if this person is even real. So most recruiters will take a look at your profile from LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that this is already giving a first good impression, okay? So this is very important. And of course, the usual recommendations that you have here, you need to update your work experience, university, and make sure to use the About Me section where you can share a little bit your story. Once again, you can use AI to write this professional sounding biography, and make sure that if, for instance, you're changing industries or you're changing roles, use this opportunity to create this profile, okay? For instance, I studied international relations many years ago, and in between I've worked, I dedicated myself, I specialized more in education and different things, and lately I'm exploring more everything related to intercultural dialogue and communication, because I've lived in Asia and came back to Argentina, and I'm passionate about that. So I recently I went into my LinkedIn and changed a little bit my profile to let people know this interest I have. And also I included that I came back to my country, I'm looking for collaboration opportunities. I cannot share this in my CV, right? But my LinkedIn profile is where people go and see, okay, Mirta is back in Argentina, I can contact her, okay? So always ensure that your profile is reflecting who you are now and where you want to be in terms of professional development, okay? This is super important. Okay, so we established what kind of roles you want to have. We went into LinkedIn to ensure that our professional image, our professional narrative is being there and it's being updated and is controlled by me, right? So if a recruiter comes and sees you, they will find you what you're doing now. And now what we will need to do is clearly start looking for these roles. Okay, where do we find roles? Well, first of all, we have tons of job boards out there, right? And in this presentation, I will share with you. Thanks for completing your feedback. And once you complete your feedback, I receive your email. And once I have this email, I can send you this presentation. And in this presentation, are you seeing this spreadsheet? Here we have collected many different websites. You're seeing this, right? So we have collected a lot of job searches engines that you can use to start looking for jobs. So once you finish the webinar, send me this survey, and in this presentation you will find this spreadsheet, right? And we also included some places where people that want to work in the NGO sector, they can also apply for jobs. There are plenty, so it will really, you need to basically also use AI. Remember, AI is a super tool, but here we compiled many of them, so you can also explore this list of job boards. So job boards is like one of the main sources we can go and find new jobs. As I mentioned, you can go and ask AI what kind of different job boards there are, so they can recommend you directly to these different websites. Also, when you're looking for a job, oftentimes company websites advertise their job openings there, right? So make sure to go to the company you'd like to work in the future and explore what different openings they have. Of course, LinkedIn always is a good alternative. And as I mentioned before, if you do the job of following key people, there are key people in different industries that are very generous and tend to share job openings in different areas. So make sure that you are following these people. So when new openings happen, you are following the right people. And also on LinkedIn, you can create a job advert for the company you like for. Let's say you'd like to work for Walt Disney, right? And then you can create a job advert. And when there's a new opening, LinkedIn would let you know. We have new openings at Walt Disney. And then you can explore. Hopefully it's the area you like and you can apply. So, recruiters, of course, if you know any recruiters or people in your network, of course, this is the way to go. Networking, and if you most universities have a career center, so this is also the place to search. And of course, as I mentioned, referrals, right? And reach out to your network. This is where, as I mentioned before, gold is, because many opportunities are not even advertised. So make contact with the people who may have the opportunities you're looking for. So this is the interesting part, right? Let's say we already found a job that you liked. And this is where the magic is going to happen. You need to read carefully the job description, right? Because that's when you will need to work your magic. And we're going to see what this means exactly. And once you have identified different jobs, let's say you did all your search and then you identified different jobs, you will basically track these jobs. And we also we have a spreadsheet. Can you see my screen? Can you see this spreadsheet? Having a spreadsheet to track your job search is one of the main things that will give you peace, okay? Because here, this is a very simple one. You can use also AI to improve it. You can find different ones, but a basic job search strategy will include a spreadsheet. So you need to understand the company you're applying to, the role, the link to the advert, when the application deadline is, when you submitted this, when you potentially may follow up, and then to understand which resume you sent, because it can get messy, okay? And it can get messy, not because I'm from Argentina, and if it gets messy for your job search, it means you will be very successful, but you know what I mean. It can get very, very messy, right? And it may happen that you apply to a job and then you don't even remember what resume you sent. And you don't want to do that, right? Because we understand that we need to send one CV tailored to that specific job search. So you don't want to, let's say then afterwards they call you back for the interview and then you don't remember, oh, which resume did I send? You know, I sent the one where I did more emphasis on planning, or the one that it was for the, you know, they needed it was a role that needed this set skill, but you don't want to lose that. So ensure that you have a spreadsheet. It will basically create a lot of order to your job search. And once you complete the survey, I will send you this presentation, and then you will find this job search, right? So we are going to prepare for the application. And this means that, let's say I found this job I really like, right? I found this job description. Let's say it's a learning and development opportunity at Disney company, right? And I want to apply. So the first thing I need to do always is research the company. Don't ever send a blind message without doing this, guys, because people will know. So you need to research the company. You need to prepare the material. Now we're going to explore what this means. Of course, we're going to apply, and this is very important. Apply following the exact instructions that the application has given you. Some people don't follow this. And if you apply by email, because maybe this is a cold outreach, please write a short introduction of why you're applying, to what role, and a little bit of explanation. I have a question. The question says, do you have any advice for applying to agencies with no availability? You mean when you apply and when there are no openings? That's the question. In this case, it is good practice. You can always reach out to a company that at that moment doesn't have any openings. And this is why it is important to also, right, as I just mentioned, do this through email. If you find the email of the hiring manager or the manager of the team where you would like to work, or the if you are reaching out through LinkedIn, make sure to share who you are, what role you're interested in. If there's no role opening at that moment, you can say I am interested in. You can share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and that you understand that at the moment there are no openings, but in the future, if anything comes up, you are a great fit for anything related to XYZ, right? And make sure to send this with an explanation, because sometimes it happens to me that people reach out to me and they share a resume out of the blue, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing. Like, what is this, right? So please make sure to be really assertive. So, okay, what are we going to do precisely, right, when we are in the exact moment of preparing my application to this role? There's something very important that we need to do, which is to update our CV, resume. We use these words interchangeably. And basically this means that for any job I'm applying, I need to update my CV. This means that the company needs to understand that my profile is a high match with what they're looking for. So I need to ensure that in terms of the content, I am describing my previous experience with clear information about what I did, how I did it, and the impact I had. We cannot describe tasks. We need to use bullet points and action verbs to show the contribution I did to that job. This means I cannot, if I send a CV where I say I created, taught French to high school students. That's very generic. That's like I'm losing the opportunity to really showcase what I did. And so I need to really use action verbs. You can Google and ask AI how I should write this powerfully, and you need to explain what you did, your impact, how many people were impacted, and how you contributed to the success of your project or your area. And remember, why you need to do this? Because, for instance, if I am applying for, let's say, a project coordination, an event coordination role, I come more from the education and teaching sector. If I share that I taught French to students in a job that asks me for event coordination, the person who's reading may say, I don't see the fit, right? But if I explain my same experience teaching, I highlight the aspect that implied organizing events, like organized French excursions, cultural immersion activities, and if I described the aspects of my previous experience related to event manager and planning, then they can see it. And this is up to me to do, because the person who's reading my CV, they won't understand why, if she's a French teacher, let's say, why is she applying to this role. Do you follow me? So your CV is the opportunity to really showcase your experience, your skills, and what you know aligned to this role. And this here, you can totally ask AI. Always make use ethically of AI. Ensure that what you're sharing is true. The good thing is that you can really have a help in doing this translation, right? So this translation from my previous experience and skills in teaching to event planning, AI can really help me with this, right? If I'm not too creative, then I can say, oh, okay, everything I did can be applied to this. That's why you need to update each CV. You need to have different resumes updated for each role. And of course, ensure that in terms of format, you are using something that is ATS friendly. Remember, today with AI, most CVs are screened through some kind of software that will discard you if you already don't have these keywords and these requirements for the job already in the CV. Okay, so this is a fundamental aspect of your job search. So you applied, you send it after you review everything and you updated it to your the job you're applying, and hopefully they will call you back, right? They will call you back for an interview. And the most key thing for any interview is practice. Practice, practice, practice. There's not much around. And of course, I don't recommend not at all using AI for interviews. Recruiters know, they see. When you are reading a prompt, because AI is showing you, giving you the questions, people think they are being natural, but we can tell you are not being natural. You're reading, and sometimes you don't even understand what you're reading, right? And especially if AI will give you this jargon, this language that is not natural, hiring managers will realize that the language you're using is not natural, that you're thinking too quickly, that you're not looking at, so please don't use AI for interviewing. Interviewing needs to be the moment where you yourself show who you are. And this is where we need most, especially today and age, to find a human being, right? This is why they're hiring you over someone else. Well, because you also have something that you are bringing. And this, we need to have our still battle of human touch, right? So if you are reading AI and the script that it gave you, you are missing your point, okay? And for that, you need to practice, practice, practice. One key structure to be able to answer these most of the interview questions nicely is the STAR method. Is anyone aware of this method? Share in the chat if you've used it already to prepare your interviews. The STAR method is a way to structure your answer, especially for these questions that are, tell me about a time where you blah blah blah, and then you will reply explaining the situation, the task, the actions, and the results, right? Tell me about a time where you had a misunderstanding with a colleague and you solved it, where you're going to explain the situation. I was working with a project, I heard this, and then I understood there was a misunderstanding, so I had to do this, and then I took these actions, and this is what the result and the impact, right? This is a very interesting and useful, easy way to organize my speech. So we want to give clear answers, right, where the recruiter already finds what they're looking for. We don't want to give broad examples or broad things where the recruiter is like, you're not really answering my question, right? Another piece of information recruiters want to have is this famous tell me about yourself question. There's a way to answer this, and you can also use AI to say, hey, give me a small pitch about who I am. And it's not who I am in terms of I'm a super nice human being. It's who I am in terms of where I am in my career, where I want to go, what I've done in the past, and how I'm the best candidate for this role. So that you also need to practice it. And always, always, always have questions for the interviewer. If you don't have any questions for the interviewer, something is missing in your preparation. Okay? Do you follow these steps when you take an interview? Do you ensure that you have everything covered as in what I'm sharing here? Tell me how you handle this in the chat. And so, if you have any questions, please share it on the chat, because we are approaching to the end. We are approaching the end of our webinar, and I'd like to address any questions if you have any. And the last thing I want to address is what's happening today. We started talking a little bit about AI and how this is changing the hiring market. Well, we started talking in general how AI is changing the world in general, a little bit the job market, and especially when it comes to the hiring market, we need to understand the following. Most people, this comes from a really interesting research that our company did. This is called the Future of Talent series. We did 3 reports that explain how you meaning interns, are using AI and how companies are integrating AI. And in this particular report, number 2, we looked at how AI is disrupting this hiring market. And there are some nice, interesting findings, right? One thing is like most interns feel that they are more confident in their job search prospect. They say, oh, I think that with AI, it's easier for me to find a job because there are many things that now I can do, right? I can more quickly, like everything I showed you, we can say, oh, I can do most of these things with AI. And this is where the trap happens. And this is where you need to be very, very attentive. Because if you use AI without really using everything I mentioned, without going into tailoring, without going in depth into understanding what you're looking for, what you have to bring, AI cannot do that for you. AI cannot know what your value is, what you have to offer. There you need to really use it yourself and exert a lot of critical thinking. And especially why? Because now, since everyone can do perfect CVs, everyone has a perfect CV. If you send me all your CVs, I would say, oh my God, these people are all geniuses. How do I know who really is a good candidate? You follow? Before, in the past, it was easier because If you had nice experience and you had a nice background, well, you could use nice words to share this, but it was a piece of work to use nice words, to polish this and show yourself. Now that everyone can do this, all CVs look the same. This means that the hiring manager cannot differentiate someone who has a really nice CV and experience and profile from someone whose AI was done, whose CV has been updated by AI, and there's not much substance behind it. And for that, that's when a key piece of information of documentation comes into play. Usually when you apply for a job, you need to share your CV. Also, a cover letter where you're going to explain why you want to work at this company, why this role, and why you. You can use AI also to do this document. And then more and more companies are asking for a portfolio. A portfolio is a third piece of document where you are going to showcase the projects you worked with. And this is more tricky to invent if you haven't done it in the past. This is why you now, in your internship experience, in your previous job experience, if you have, you need to be writing down, documenting the projects you work with, because companies will ask you for concrete examples, and even furthermore, they will ask you to defend your previous job experience. This means that you need to explain your thinking, your reasoning. Oh, okay, they may ask you, so I saw here that you, in your portfolio, you included this project regarding this website updating. Can you walk me through this process? What did you do? How? If you let AI do that for you, you're going to be in problems, right? Because you won't be able to defend what you did. And of course, you need to be able to share this portfolio, this example from your previous experience, or this internship experience if you haven't, if this is your first job experience. So be very attentive, guys. The job market today is about using AI smartly, but always with your substance, being ready to defend and share what you've done in the past. Is this clear? Let me check one. Someone is sharing. Everything you said is very practical in this AI era. AI can help us a lot in job searching. Yes. After my internship, I gave myself a challenge of finding a job through LinkedIn job posting list, and fortunately I landed one. Ah, excellent, Emmanuel, well done. Along the way, I noticed something strange. Some companies keep promoting job postings on LinkedIn even after they've already hired the desired candidate. This gave me a different perspective on LinkedIn, but still a great career tool that we should make the most of. Yes, this is interesting. That's why you always need to be, let's say, refreshing opportunities, because what happens also on LinkedIn is that you may see job openings that have been there for 2-3 months. That's why on LinkedIn it's nice to use the trick of finding job opportunities that have been published in the last 24 hours or even a week, because that's how you see that these are fresh opportunities, instead of seeing jobs that have been there for 3 months. It is, if you find a job opening on LinkedIn that has been there, has been published over 3 months, that's strange. I've applied to jobs thinking, oh, maybe they still haven't found the right candidate, and oftentimes if it's been too long, it's like a dead LinkedIn job post, like Emmanuel shared. So yes, we need to exert also our critical thinking when we are in a job search. Okay, guys, I walked you through this super extensive journey, which starts with you clarifying your goals and it ends up with you landing the job you're looking for. In between, we've seen there are many stages, and we've had lots of information to understand how to walk each of these stages. I would like you to share one thought on what you're taking from this webinar and something you found interesting, or something that you will apply, or something that has given you a new perspective on how to plan for your job search, because I like to know what you're taking away from this webinar. So thanks for sharing your thoughts in the chat so we can wrap up. And remember to complete the form that we sent previously, this employability survey, so you can share your thoughts with me about this webinar. And once you share your feedback, I will send you the presentation, okay? And this presentation contains lots of interesting and useful resources. Like I mentioned, the job search spreadsheet, so you can track your different applications, the different job boards, and then all this path, so you can understand and get to plan and manage your job search. Once you have a plan and once you have a strategy, I assure you that it will go much easier, right? Because you will be taking ownership of this process, and you will be more prepared to navigate the complexity of today's job search market. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it really useful. Remember to complete this survey so I can share you the slides and you can have all this content. And I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and that we will see each other again in the next webinar. So enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.